Ever feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells in relationships, unsure of what to say or do? Like no matter how much effort you put in, things just don't click, and you end up feeling drained, frustrated, or even lost. You're not alone. Many men struggle with this, but the good news is there's a way out. Today, we're unlocking 9 things men should not do with women, all guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. These are the principles that smart men live by to avoid the traps that lead to heartache, frustration, and confusion. Imagine having the emotional strength to navigate any relationship challenge with calmness and clarity. No more chasing approval, no more second-guessing yourself, and definitely no more sacrificing your values just to keep someone else happy. These Stoic principles will show you how to regain control of your life, set boundaries, and foster relationships that are built on mutual respect and true connection. If you're ready to shift your mindset and approach relationships with confidence and purpose. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe if you're ready to transform how you handle relationships using the power of Stoicism. Every video is a step toward mastering your mindset and building stronger, more meaningful connections. All right, let's begin our journey into the 9 things wise men avoid doing with women, all through the lens of Stoic wisdom. 1. Keep your past private. Let's take a moment and think about this. How often do we feel the urge to open up and share everything with someone new in our lives? Whether it's a friend, a partner, or someone we're just starting to trust, it's tempting to feel like we need to tell them all the details of our past, especially the tough parts. But here's the thing, you don't. In fact, Stoicism teaches us that not everything should be exposed, especially when it serves no purpose but to invite unnecessary judgment. Picture this. You meet someone new, you feel a connection, and before you know it, you're spilling stories from your past. At first it might feel freeing, but later you may wonder, did I share too much? Friedrich Nietzsche was onto something when he said that old ideas, and in this case, past experiences, can come back to haunt us. Sometimes revealing too much can make us vulnerable in ways we didn't expect. In Stoicism, there's a focus on maintaining control over what we can. And one thing you absolutely can control is your personal story. Your past, full of challenges and triumphs, is like your armor. It's built you into the person you are today. But it's not something to throw out for the world to pick apart. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often spoke about guarding your inner self, and that includes your personal history. If you share every intimate detail too soon, you risk losing control over how that information shapes the way others see you. Think of it like this. Your past is a valuable part of who you are, but not everyone deserves access to it. Just because someone asks doesn't mean you owe them every piece of your history. Sharing too much, too quickly, can leave you feeling exposed. Worse, others might misuse or misunderstand your experiences, turning your moments of growth into something they judge or question. Here's a little exercise you can try. The next time you're about to share something deeply personal, pause. Ask yourself, does this add value to the conversation or our connection? Will sharing this help me or them? If not, maybe it's best to keep it private for now. You're not hiding anything. You're protecting yourself and staying in control of your narrative. The Stoics believed in the power of self-mastery, and that includes how we handle our own stories. Remember, your life experiences have made you stronger, wiser, and more resilient. But they're yours to hold close. Not everyone needs or deserves access to your journey. The key is to share only what's necessary, and only when you feel it serves you and your growth, not just to fill the silence or make a connection. In the end, your past is a part of you, but it doesn't define who you are in the present. And with that in mind, take the Stoic approach. Protect what matters most, your inner self, and share only when it feels right. 2. Face your fear of being alone. Let's take a moment to dive deep into something we often shy away from: being alone. Have you ever felt that pang of fear when you think about spending time by yourself? You're not alone in that feeling. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of wisdom." But what does that really mean in our fast-paced world, where connection seems to be just a click away? Think back to a time when you found yourself sitting in silence, maybe at home or even in a cafe. Did you feel anxious, restless, or like you had to reach for your phone to fill that void? That discomfort can be overwhelming. However, what if I told you that those quiet moments are golden opportunities for self-discovery? The Stoics too recognized the value of solitude. They believed that understanding oneself was essential for personal growth. By embracing alone time, we create space to reflect on our thoughts, dreams, and values. It's a chance to listen to your inner voice, without the noise of the outside world drowning it out. When was the last time you truly sat with your thoughts, free from distractions? Here's the truth. Being alone doesn't equate to being lonely. It's a common misconception. In fact, some of my most rewarding experiences have come from spending time alone. Whether it's diving into a new book, exploring a hobby, or just taking a long walk, those moments have allowed me to reconnect with myself in ways that social interactions sometimes can't. You might find that you actually enjoy your own company more than you think. Now let's consider the choices we make when we fear loneliness. Ever found yourself in a relationship simply because you didn't want to be single? I've been there. It's easy to fall into that trap. When you make decisions based on fear, especially the fear of being alone, you can end up in places that don't serve you. You might end up with someone who doesn't align with your values or aspirations, and that can lead to feelings of resentment or dissatisfaction, which only deepens the loneliness you were trying to escape in the first place. So, how do we shift our mindset? It starts with acceptance. Embrace the fact that being alone can be a source of strength. Instead of avoiding it, face it head on. Ask yourself, what can I learn about myself during this time? Dive into your hobbies, spend time in nature, or even practice mindfulness through meditation. Each moment spent alone is a chance to grow stronger, more self-aware, and more grounded in who you are. When you do decide to let someone into your life, make sure it's because they enhance your journey, not because you fear the void of solitude. Picture this. You're with someone who inspires you, challenges you, and adds color to your life, rather than filling a gap you're afraid to face. That's the kind of relationship that can flourish. So, here's a little challenge for you. The next time you feel that fear creeping in, try to lean into it. Spend an evening just with yourself, no distractions, no pressure. Journal your thoughts, watch a movie you love, or simply sit in silence. Allow yourself to appreciate the beauty of solitude and notice how it feels. You might be surprised by the depth of connection you can foster with yourself. Ultimately, the goal is to cultivate a sense of self-sufficiency and inner peace. Remember, as you explore this journey of self-discovery, you're not just avoiding loneliness. You're building a strong foundation for future relationships that are truly fulfilling. Embrace being alone as a vital part of your personal growth, because when you learn to enjoy your own company, you create the space for healthier, more meaningful connections with others. 3. Don't become overly attached. Let's chat about something that can easily sneak into our lives without us even realizing it. Attachment. You know that feeling when you become so wrapped up in someone else that you start to lose sight of who you are? It can be all-consuming, can't it? Marcus Aurelius, a wise Stoic philosopher, taught us an important lesson. Don't let yourself get too tangled up in anyone else. Why? Because when you do, it can throw your whole life out of balance and cause you to forget just how valuable you truly are. Imagine this for a moment. You're like a satellite, happily spinning around a planet. Everything seems great at first, right? But over time, you realize you're just going around and around, losing your sense of direction. That's what happens when we become overly attached to someone else. Our dreams, passions, and even our unique quirks can fade into the background as we focus solely on them. Think back to a time when you felt that attachment. Maybe you put their needs before your own, or you found yourself always accommodating their preferences. It's easy to fall into that pattern, especially when you care deeply for someone. But here's the truth. Being in a relationship shouldn't mean dimming your own light. In fact, your light should shine even brighter when you're with someone who supports and uplifts you. The Stoics believed in understanding oneself and maintaining inner balance. This means recognizing your own worth and not letting anyone else's expectations dictate how you feel about yourself. You're not just a supporting character in someone else's narrative. You are the main star of your own story. So how do you take back control? It starts with self-awareness. Reflect on your passions and interests. What makes you feel alive? What are your dreams? When you reconnect with those things, it becomes easier to see where you may have compromised your own identity for the sake of another person. Let's consider this. When was the last time you did something solely for yourself? Maybe it was a hobby you loved or a goal you were working towards. Think about how good that felt. It's vital to carve out time to nurture those aspects of yourself, regardless of your relationship status. When you do this, you not only strengthen your sense of self, but also become a more complete partner. After all, a relationship flourishes when both individuals bring their unique lights to the table. And here's the kicker. Being secure in your own identity actually enhances your relationships. When you're confident and grounded in who you are, you can support others without losing yourself in the process. You can celebrate their achievements and be genuinely happy for them while still chasing your own dreams. Remember, it's perfectly fine to have deep connections with others, but the key is to maintain a healthy balance. Don't let your sense of self become solely wrapped up in another person. Make sure you're also nurturing your own interests, friendships, and aspirations. It's all about striking that balance where you can be both an individual and part of a partnership. So I challenge you to take a moment today to reflect on your relationships. Are you shining bright, or are you feeling like you're stuck in someone else's orbit? If you find that you've been overly attached, take a step back and evaluate what you truly want. This is your journey, and it's essential that you're not only part of it, but that you're leading the way. As you embrace this Stoic perspective, remember that your light is unique and powerful. Don't let anyone dim it. Stand tall and let the world see the incredible person you are. Your life is meant to be vibrant, full of color and richness, and you deserve to shine like the star you are. 4. Use your time wisely. Let's dive into a topic that affects us all: the way we spend our time. Have you ever found yourself scrolling through social media for hours, lost in the lives of others, while your own passions sit on the back burner? It's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind and forget how valuable our time truly is. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, once said, "Life isn't short, we just waste a lot of it." And wow, isn't that a truth bomb? Picture this: you wake up in the morning, ready to seize the day. But then, as the hours tick by, you find yourself drifting into a routine that feels more like a hamster wheel than a fulfilling journey. Maybe you're investing time in relationships that drain you or in activities that don't light your fire. Sound familiar? It happens to the best of us. Imagine you have a beautiful garden. You can plant anything you like: vibrant flowers, delicious fruits, or perhaps even a sturdy tree. But if you spend all your energy watering someone else's garden while neglecting your own, what happens? Your space becomes barren, and you miss out on the beauty you could have cultivated. So how do we avoid this pitfall? It starts with intention. Think about what truly brings you joy and fulfillment. What activities make you lose track of time in the best way? Is it painting, writing, exercising, or perhaps diving into a good book? Whatever it is, make a conscious effort to carve out time for those passions. This isn't just about self-care. It's about self-discovery. As you begin to invest in your own interests, you'll find that your life becomes richer and more vibrant. You'll notice that your mood improves, and you start attracting more positivity into your life. Remember, the Stoics believed in the power of focusing on what we can control. You can't control how others spend their time, but you can certainly control your own. Now, let's talk about relationships. Are you surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and respect your time? If you're constantly giving your precious moments to individuals who don't appreciate it, That's a recipe for burnout. You deserve to be with those who value your presence and inspire you to grow. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you felt truly happy or fulfilled? Maybe it was a weekend spent hiking with friends, a cozy evening of cooking a new recipe, or simply a few hours lost in a captivating story. Those moments are treasures. Seneca also taught us that we should strive to live in accordance with nature. This means recognizing the seasons of our lives and embracing change. If a relationship or activity is no longer serving you, it's okay to step back and reassess. Life is too precious to spend it on things that don't resonate with your true self. So let's make a pact. This week I challenge you to set aside time for yourself. Plan an afternoon to do something you love, whether that's hitting the gym, painting, or simply enjoying a quiet moment with a cup of tea and a good book. Notice how it feels to invest in your own happiness and growth. And as you embrace this Stoic approach to time management, remember that each moment is an opportunity to shape your life into something meaningful. You have the power to create a narrative that reflects your values and passions. Your time is yours, so use it wisely. Don't let it slip away in the hustle of everyday life. Instead, cultivate a life filled with purpose, joy, and meaningful connections. After all, you are the author of your own story, and it's time to write a chapter that excites you. All right, before we jump back in, if you're finding this helpful, hit that like button. It helps YouTube share this with more men who need it, and it keeps the content coming. It's quick, free, and it makes a real difference. Thanks. Let's get back to it. 5. Protect your mental health. Let's take a moment to talk about something that often gets overlooked in the hustle and bustle of life: our mental health. Picture this. You're in a cozy home, and everything is just right. Your favorite blanket is draped over the couch, the scent of coffee lingers in the air, and there's a sense of calm. Now imagine someone knocks on your door, demanding that you sacrifice that comfort for their needs. You wouldn't just throw away your peace and comfort, right? Well, that's exactly what sacrificing your mental health for someone else is like. It's like burning down your house just to keep someone else warm. This idea might sound extreme, but think about it. How often do we push aside our own well-being to make others happy? Maybe it's a friend who constantly needs emotional support, or a partner who doesn't understand when you need some space. It can feel like walking a tightrope, trying to balance your needs with the demands of others. And while it's natural to want to be there for those we care about, we must remember that our mental health is not just important, it's essential. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us that we have control over our own thoughts and emotions. He taught that we can choose how we react to the world around us. So why not apply that wisdom to our mental health? If you find yourself in a situation that feels draining or overwhelming, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Your mental health is your responsibility, and it's something you need to guard fiercely. Think of your mental health as a garden. You wouldn't let weeds take over, would you? You'd water the flowers, trim the excess, and ensure the soil is rich. Similarly, you need to nurture your mind. This means setting boundaries, recognizing toxic behaviors, and most importantly, prioritizing your own well-being. Imagine you're at a party, surrounded by friends, but you feel anxious. Maybe the noise is overwhelming or the conversations are draining. Instead of forcing yourself to stay and suffer through it, give yourself permission to leave. It's not about being rude, it's about taking care of yourself. Remember, taking care of your mental health is not selfish, it's necessary. When you're at your best, you can offer the best version of yourself to those you love. Now let's dive deeper. Have you ever found yourself in a relationship where you felt like you were losing yourself? Maybe you started to change your habits or your opinions just to keep the peace. It can be a slippery slope, and before you know it, you're not even sure who you are anymore. That's why it's vital to stay true to yourself. Start by checking in with your feelings regularly. Ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Am I stressed, happy, overwhelmed? This self-reflection is a powerful tool. When you acknowledge your emotions, you can better understand what you need. And remember the wisdom of the Stoics. While we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. It's okay to say no. It's okay to prioritize your peace over someone else's demands. You are the protector of your mental health, and you have the right to draw the line. So let's make a commitment together. This week, I challenge you to take a moment for yourself every day. Whether it's a 5-minute meditation, a walk in nature, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of tea, make it your time. Protect that space fiercely, just like you would guard your home. As you embrace this Stoic approach, remember that your mental health is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. You deserve to feel balanced, happy, and at peace. So stand firm in protecting it, and don't let anyone or anything compromise your well-being. After all, when you nurture your mental health, you not only shine brighter but also inspire those around you to do the same. Your peace is your power, so hold on to it tightly. 6. Celebrate your wins. Let's take a moment to talk about something incredibly important that often gets overlooked in our busy lives: celebrating our own wins. Think about it. How many times do we finish a project, hit a personal goal, or simply make it through a tough week, only to brush it aside and move on to the next thing? In the words of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, we shouldn't just look for others to admire us. We should learn to admire ourselves too. It's all about recognizing your achievements, no matter how big or small. Imagine you've been working hard on a fitness goal. You've hit the gym consistently, made healthier choices, and maybe even lost a few pounds. But instead of taking a moment to acknowledge how far you've come, you immediately start thinking about what you need to do next. You tell yourself, "I'm not there yet. I need to lose more." Sound familiar? We've all been there. But here's the truth. Every step you take forward is a victory worth celebrating. Picture this. After a long week of grinding at work, you finally finish that project you've been pouring your heart into. Instead of simply ticking it off your to-do list and diving into the next task, take a breather. Maybe treat yourself to a nice dinner, or take a moment to reflect on what you accomplished. It's in these little moments of recognition that you build your confidence and truly appreciate your journey. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but isn't it selfish to celebrate myself? That's where the Stoic perspective comes into play. Stoicism teaches us that self-reflection and self-acknowledgement are vital for personal growth. When you celebrate your wins, you're not just patting yourself on the back. You're reinforcing the behaviors and choices that led to those achievements. You're setting a foundation for even greater accomplishments in the future. Let's dig deeper. Think of your wins like stepping stones on a beautiful path. Each stone represents a milestone, whether it's getting that promotion you worked so hard for, overcoming a fear, or even just getting out of bed on a tough day. Every stone contributes to your journey, and each deserves recognition. So, why not take a moment to appreciate the view from each step? I invite you to create a personal ritual for celebrating your wins. Maybe it's a journal where you jot down your achievements at the end of each day or week. When you flip back through those pages, you'll see a tapestry of your progress, a reminder of your resilience. Or perhaps you could share your victories with a friend or loved one. Their admiration and support can amplify that feeling of accomplishment and motivate you to keep pushing forward. And let's not forget about the power of gratitude in this process. When you acknowledge your wins, take a moment to be grateful for the journey that brought you here. What challenges did you overcome? Who supported you along the way? This reflection not only deepens your appreciation for your achievements, but also cultivates a sense of humility and connectedness. As you embrace this practice, remember that celebrating your wins doesn't mean you're complacent or arrogant. It simply means you're aware of your progress and value the effort you put in. You're not just a passive observer in your life, you're the architect of your own success. So, here's a challenge for you. This week, I want you to identify at least 3 wins, big or small, that you can celebrate. Maybe it's finishing that book you've been meaning to read, saying no to something that drained your energy, or simply getting through a tough day with a smile. Share these wins with me in the comments or write them down. Let's create a community of celebration and support. Remember, in the grand narrative of your life, you are the hero, and every victory, no matter how small, is a chapter worth celebrating. So embrace your wins, honor your journey, and don't forget to take a moment to appreciate the incredible person you are becoming. You deserve it. 7. Be true to yourself. Let's dive into a concept that might resonate with many of you: being true to yourself. It's such a simple phrase, yet it carries a weight that can change your life in profound ways. Albert Chu once shared some insightful advice that really aligns with Stoic philosophy. Stop worrying too much about what others think and focus on who you truly are. Imagine for a moment that you're at a social gathering. You're surrounded by people laughing, sharing stories, and enjoying each other's company. But deep down, you feel this tug. Maybe you're agreeing to things you really don't want to do, just to fit in or please someone else. It's like putting on a mask that's way too tight, suffocating your true self. Sound familiar? Let's break it down. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't resonate with you, you're essentially chipping away at your authenticity. You're creating a version of yourself that doesn't reflect who you really are. It's exhausting, isn't it? Imagine how liberating it would feel to take off that mask and just be you. Stoicism teaches us that the only opinion that truly matters is our own. Think of it this way: when you align your actions with your values and beliefs, you're living in harmony with your true self. You're not just going through the motions or playing a role in someone else's story. Instead, you're the protagonist in your life, navigating your own path with purpose and integrity. So, what does it mean to be true to yourself? It means having the courage to say no when something doesn't serve you. Picture yourself at work, for instance. Maybe a colleague asks you to take on an extra project that you know will stretch you too thin. Instead of feeling obligated to say yes out of fear of disappointing them, you take a deep breath and respond honestly. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I need to focus on my current commitments. In that moment, you're honoring your limits and choosing to protect your time and energy. Now, I want you to think about your passions and interests. Are you pursuing them, or are you letting the expectations of others dictate your choices? Remember, your hobbies and aspirations are part of what makes you unique. Whether it's painting, writing, or even hiking, these activities nourish your soul and contribute to your happiness. So, make space for them. Let's bring in a bit of storytelling here. I once knew someone who loved to play the guitar. He would spend hours strumming away, completely lost in the music. But when it came to sharing that passion with others, he hesitated. He worried about being judged or not being good enough. It wasn't until he decided to play at an open mic night that everything changed. He felt the nerves, of course, but once he began to play, it was as if a weight had lifted. The audience resonated with his authenticity, and he received encouragement that he never expected. This experience taught him a valuable lesson. Being true to yourself not only brings you joy, but also inspires others. You have no idea who might be waiting for you to show up as your authentic self. Someone who needs to hear your story, your struggles, and your victories. And here's where Stoicism really shines through. It reminds us that we can't control how others perceive us, but we can control our actions and how we respond to the world around us. When you focus on being your true self, you free yourself from the shackles of external validation. You realize that your worth isn't determined by the approval of others. It comes from within. So I challenge you to take a moment today to reflect on your life. Are there areas where you feel like you're not being true to yourself? Are you saying yes out of obligation rather than desire? Make a list of your values. What's important to you? Then, think about ways to bring those values into your daily life. Maybe it's setting boundaries, exploring new hobbies, or simply speaking up when something doesn't sit right with you. Remember, it's okay to prioritize yourself. You're the main character in your own story, not just a sidekick in someone else's narrative. As we wrap up, I encourage you to embrace your uniqueness and let it shine. The world needs your voice, your passion, and your perspective. So go ahead, take off that mask, and step into your authenticity. Trust me, You'll not only feel lighter, but also inspire others to do the same. Let's celebrate our true selves together. What steps will you take today to be true to yourself? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. 8. Don't sacrifice your path for others. Have you ever felt the pressure to mold your life to fit someone else's expectations? It's a familiar scenario for many of us, isn't it? I mean, think about it for a moment. You might be at a crossroads, trying to figure out what you want, and then suddenly someone, be it a friend, family member, or even a coworker, offers their unsolicited advice. "Why don't you do this instead?" they say, and in that moment it's easy to feel swayed, like a leaf caught in the wind. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, captured this struggle perfectly when he said, "If you try to be in too many places at once, you're actually nowhere." Isn't that profound? Just take a second to let that sink in. It's like juggling a dozen balls in the air, and the moment you take your focus off your own path to accommodate others, you risk dropping everything. Picture this. You're wearing a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too small. Every step is painful, and your feet ache. That's what it feels like when you compromise your goals and dreams just to meet someone else's standards. You know deep down that those shoes don't fit, yet you keep wearing them hoping they'll somehow get more comfortable. Spoiler alert, they won't. Now let's add a little storytelling to this. I once knew a woman named Sarah who had a passion for graphic design. She spent countless hours honing her craft, pouring her heart into every project. But when she started a new job, her boss had a very different vision of what success looked like. Instead of encouraging her creativity, he wanted her to follow a strict set of guidelines that stifled her artistic spirit. At first, Sarah thought, "I need to make this work. I should just conform to his way of doing things." But as the weeks passed, she felt more and more like she was drowning in a sea of sameness. She was no longer excited to create. She was simply fulfilling someone else's expectations. It wasn't until a close friend reminded her, "You're a talented designer. Don't lose yourself trying to please someone else," that she started to reconsider her path. Inspired by those words, Sarah took a leap of faith. She decided to prioritize her own vision and created a side project that reflected her true style. Surprisingly, her work caught the attention of others, and soon, she found herself being commissioned for projects that aligned with her passions. She realized that by embracing her authentic self and not sacrificing her path for others, she opened up doors she never knew existed. Now, I want you to think about your own journey. Are there areas in your life where you feel like you're wearing those uncomfortable shoes? Maybe it's in your career, relationships, or even your personal goals. Are you pushing your own dreams to the side to make room for someone else's expectations? It's essential to remember that your journey is uniquely yours. Think about it. No one else has lived your life or walked in your shoes. You possess insights, dreams, and ambitions that are irreplaceable. When you stray from your path, you not only lose sight of your goals but also diminish your own potential. Stoicism teaches us that the only thing we can control is how we respond to the world around us. By embracing this philosophy, you can find the strength to stay true to yourself, even when others may try to sway you. The key is to remain grounded in your values and have the courage to pursue your own path, regardless of external pressures. So, how do we do this? Start by setting boundaries. It's okay to say no when something doesn't align with your goals. If a friend asks you to commit to an activity that doesn't resonate with you, take a moment to pause and reflect. Does this contribute to your journey, or will it just pull you off course? Learning to prioritize your path is a skill that requires practice, but it's incredibly liberating once you master it. As you navigate your own journey, remember to celebrate your individuality. Reflect on the accomplishments that make you proud, big or small. Every step you take toward your dreams deserves recognition. Share these victories with others and inspire them to find their own unique paths as well. To wrap it up, I want to leave you with this thought. Your journey is precious, and it's meant to be walked with confidence and purpose. Don't lose sight of where you're headed or compromise your dreams for the sake of others. Remember, It's okay to stand firm in your convictions and embrace the path that truly reflects who you are. 9. Put friends and family first. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of life, isn't it? We chase after new opportunities, shiny experiences, and sometimes we can inadvertently overlook the very people who have stood by us through thick and thin. Plato had this brilliant analogy, comparing people to soil. Some nurture your growth, while others can hold you back. Just think about that for a moment. Are the people in your life nourishing your spirit, or are they weighing you down? When I reflect on my own life, I remember a time when I got wrapped up in trying to impress others. I was juggling work commitments, social obligations, and the occasional relationship, and in the process, I began to neglect my close friends and family. I thought that if I focused more on gaining the approval of those outside my inner circle, I would somehow feel more fulfilled. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Instead, I found myself feeling isolated, even when surrounded by new faces. Let me share a little story. One summer, I decided to take a job that demanded a lot of my time. I was excited at first, thinking it would boost my career and introduce me to new people. But as the weeks turned into months, I noticed something troubling. I hardly had time to catch up with my best friend Mia or visit my parents who lived just down the road. It wasn't until I received a message from Mia, a simple, "Hey, I miss you," that the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. In that moment, I recognized how easily I had allowed the pursuit of external validation to overshadow the importance of my core relationships. It made me think about how often we prioritize fleeting connections over the deep-rooted ones that have shaped our lives. My family and friends weren't just there for me. They were the soil that helped me grow into the person I was becoming. From a Stoic perspective, this resonates deeply with the idea of valuing what is truly important. Marcus Aurelius, one of the prominent Stoic philosophers, emphasized that we should focus on the things we can control, our actions, our thoughts, and how we choose to nurture our relationships. When we prioritize our friends and family, we are making a conscious choice to cultivate the relationships that feed our souls. So, how do we put our friends and family first in this fast-paced world? First, it's essential to take a step back and evaluate who truly matters in your life. Who are the people who have supported you during tough times? Who can you count on without hesitation? Take a moment to appreciate them. Maybe send a quick text, or better yet, plan a catch-up session over coffee or dinner. Those little moments can make a world of difference both for you and them. Imagine sitting across from your best friend, sharing laughter and stories, reminding each other of the adventures you've had. These are the moments that weave the fabric of our lives, the threads that hold us together when everything else feels chaotic. It's also crucial to remember that it's perfectly okay to say no to new commitments if they threaten to pull you away from those who matter most. Setting boundaries is not just a sign of self-respect. It's a way to ensure that your friendships and family ties remain strong. It's about recognizing that you don't need to chase every opportunity that comes your way, especially if it compromises your support system. In our society, there's often a prevailing narrative that success is about how many people you know or how many social events you can attend. But the real measure of success lies in the depth of your connections. True fulfillment comes from nurturing those relationships that enrich your life. So, I invite you to reflect. What can you do today to prioritize your friends and family? Maybe it's a simple phone call to check in, or a heartfelt message expressing your gratitude. Whatever it is, take that step. You'll be amazed at how much joy it brings, not just to them, but to you as well. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into Stoicism and relationships. Remember, embracing Stoic principles isn't about following gender-specific rules, but about creating a mindset that helps you overcome challenges in all areas of life. Now that you know the 9 things wise men should avoid doing with women, I hope you gained some helpful insights on how to approach relationships with mindfulness and integrity. By applying these timeless principles, you can build connections based on mutual respect, understanding, and shared growth. If you enjoyed this journey into Stoicism and relationships, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that enriches your mind and feeds your soul. Leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Until next time, stay wise, stay stoic, and keep moving toward a life filled with purpose and peace.